The wedding day dawned in a blur of sunlight and anticipation, the kind of morning that seemed scripted for perfection. Hope Logan stood before the mirror in the dressing suite of the Forrester estate, wrapped in layers of lace and ivory silk, her reflection glowing with the fragile promise of happiness. Around her, the hum of preparation pulsed, laughter, clinking glasses, and the soft cadence of love songs playing in the background. After years of heartbreak, betrayal, and reconciliation, this was supposed to be the day everything aligned. Hope and Liam, bound by both fate and forgiveness, were ready to begin again. Guests filled the garden terrace, where the aisle was lined with white roses, golden ribbons, and delicate chandeliers that swayed gently in the breeze. Brooke Logan, radiant with pride, couldn't take her eyes off her daughter. Ridge stood beside her, trying to suppress his skepticism about yet another Spencer-Logan union but unable to deny how happy Hope looked. Even Steffi, seated among the guests with Finn, had made peace with the day, though there was a flicker of nostalgia buried deep in her eyes as she watched Liam take his place at the altar. Everything shimmered with hope, until the wind shifted. It began as a ripple of unease, a murmur spreading through the crowd as a figure appeared at the far edge of the terrace. At first, no one dared to believe what they were seeing. Then the whispers began. "That's Sheila Carter." Within seconds, the atmosphere fractured. Security moved toward her, but she walked with unflinching confidence, her emerald dress slicing through the sea of white like a blade. The music faltered. Hope's breath caught in her throat. Brooke rose to her feet, her voice trembling with fury. "You don't belong here, Sheila." Sheila smiled, a cold, deliberate curve of the lips that carried decades of menace. "Oh, Brooke," she purred, "you of all people should know that secrets have a way of inviting themselves to the party." Liam stepped forward, his face pale. "This is my wedding. You need to leave now." But Sheila wasn't listening. Her gaze darted to Hope, and for a moment, her expression softened into something almost sympathetic. "I wouldn't do this if it weren't the truth," she said quietly. "But you deserve to know who you're really marrying." The crowd went silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Hope's voice, fragile and trembling, broke through. "What are you talking about?" Sheila's eyes glittered. "Ask Liam about the night in Aspen. The night he promised Steffi he'd never stop loving her. The night after he told you he was ready to move on." Gasps erupted. Liam's face turned to stone. "That's not true," he started, his voice cracking. "That was years ago. But Sheila's interruption was merciless. "Oh, it's true. And if you'd like proof, I have it." She pulled a small flash drive from her purse and held it up like a trophy. Security footage. Hotel records. Messages. You see, people think they can erase the past, but the past has a funny way of surviving, just like me. The chaos that followed was instantaneous. Brooke shouted for her to leave. Ridge demanded the guards remove her, and Steffi buried her face in her hands, muttering, No, it can't be that night." Finn reached for her arm, but she pulled away, trembling. Hope stood frozen, her bouquet slipping from her fingers, petals scattering like confetti for a wedding that was already over. "Liam," she whispered, "tell me she's lying." But Liam couldn't. His silence was confession enough. Sheila's laughter echoed through the courtyard, low and poisonous. "I didn't come here to ruin your day, dear," she said, though the glint in her eyes betrayed the satisfaction that burned beneath. "I came to save you from a man who still belongs to someone else." Brooke lunged toward her, fury overtaking her composure. "You've done enough damage to this family," she screamed. But Sheila merely tilted her head, almost pitying. "Oh, Brooke, you think this is about Liam and Steffi? You really don't know, do you?" The words cut through the air like a dagger. Brooke froze. "What are you talking about?" Sheila stepped closer, lowering her voice to a near whisper that carried across the stunned crowd. "You might want to ask your daughter where her inheritance came from, or rather, who arranged it." Hope's brow furrowed. "What does that mean?" "She means," Sheila continued, her tone silky, "that Bill Spencer's money didn't just rebuild your foundation after your last divorce. It rebuilt you. He's been paying for everything behind the scenes, the charities, the line at Forrester Creations, even the dress you're wearing today.
And why?
Because he wanted you close to his son. Because he knew this day would come, and he wanted a Logan tied to the Spencer name forever. Hope's sneeze nearly buckled. She turned toward Brooke, her voice shaking. Is that true? Brooke's lips parted, but no sound came. Her eyes filled with tears, silent confirmation before words could form. I did it for you, she finally whispered. I wanted you to have a future, a safety net. Bill said it was an investment in your career. Hope stared at her mother, betrayal and disbelief flooding through her. You let him buy my life, my marriage? The crowd's murmurs grew louder, the ceremony unraveling completely. Ridge turned on Brooke, anger blazing in his voice. You took money from Bill Spencer again? After everything he's done to this family? Sheila watched the implosion with quiet delight. Oh, please, Ridge. Don't act so shocked. Brooke's been playing this game longer than anyone. I'm just here to make sure everyone sees the board clearly. Security finally moved in, grabbing her by the arms, but she didn't resist. She simply smiled as they dragged her away, her final words echoing like a curse. You can throw me out, but the truth will stay. Secrets don't die, they multiply. The rest of the afternoon dissolved into chaos. Guests scattered, reporters caught wind of the disruption, and within hours, headlines screamed about Sheila Carter's wedding ambush and Logan Spencer's scandal exposed. Hope locked herself in the bridal suite, staring at her reflection, the same woman who had stood there that morning, glowing with love, now shattered and hollow. Her veil lay crumpled on the floor. Her ring, still in its box, sat untouched. Liam tried to reach her. Hope, please, he begged through the door. It wasn't what she made it sound like. I was confused. I thought we were done then. I made a mistake. Her voice, when it came, was calm but distant. You always make the same mistake, Liam. You never know who you love until you lose them. Outside, Brooke paced the hallway, desperate to fix what couldn't be fixed. We can talk to the press, Hope, she said through the crack in the door. We'll clear this up. We'll tell them it was all lies. But Hope didn't answer. She was somewhere far away, lost in the wreckage of her own illusions. That night, the Forrester mansion stood silent except for the hum of the security lights. The flowers had begun to wilt, their petals curling like secrets that refused to stay buried. In the distance, the faint echo of Sheila's laughter seemed to linger, carried on the wind. Liam sat alone in the courtyard, still wearing his tuxedo, the boutonniere crushed against his chest. Steffi found him there, hesitant. You shouldn't have let her win, she said softly. He looked up, his eyes tired and red. She didn't have to win. I did that all on my own. Steffi sighed. Sheila thrives on pain. That's what she wanted. Maybe, Liam said, staring at the empty altar. But she didn't invent the truth. She just weaponized it. Meanwhile, across town, Sheila slipped into a dimly lit hotel room overlooking the city. A man was waiting there, tall, hidden in shadow. She tossed the flash drive onto the table. You owe me, she said. The man stepped forward, and the light caught his face. It was Bill Spencer. I always pay my debts, he said, his voice low. She smirked. You wanted chaos. I delivered. Bill poured himself a drink, his expression unreadable.
No, Sheila.
I wanted the truth. Sometimes they're the same thing. As he lifted the glass to his lips, the city glittered beneath them, bright, beautiful, and utterly broken. And somewhere, in the ruins of what was once a perfect day, Hope and Liam faced the quiet aftermath, each realizing that love built on secrets was doomed to collapse under the weight of its own silence. But Sheila's words still echoed in Hope's mind, haunting and unfinished. Secrets don't die, they multiply. And in a world like theirs, where truth was always just another weapon, she knew this was only the beginning of a war that no wedding could ever mend. Night fell heavy over Los Angeles, but the storm that had begun at the Forrester estate showed no sign of easing. The sky was clear, but the city pulsed with electricity, the kind that precedes scandal. By midnight, every media outlet had seized the story. Hope Logan's wedding had become the most dramatic event of the year. The headlines were merciless. The wedding that never was. Sheila Carter exposes Logan Spencer lies. The footage, recorded secretly by one of the guests, had already gone viral. Sheila's entrance, the revelation, Hope's heartbreak, and Liam's silence. The internet didn't sleep, and neither did anyone tied to the name Logan or Spencer that night. Hope sat alone in Brooke's guest room, still wearing her ruined gown. The fabric, once pristine, now looked ghostly under the lamplight, wrinkled and stained with tears. She had turned off her phone hours ago, unable to face the avalanche of messages, calls, and sympathy that came disguised as curiosity. The sound of muffled conversation drifted up from downstairs, Brooke and Ridge arguing in hushed but urgent tones. Hope didn't need to hear the words to know the rhythm of blame. Her mother would defend her, Ridge would condemn Bill, and somewhere between all that noise, the truth of what had happened to her, the collapse of everything she believed in, would be lost. Downstairs, the conversation was spiraling. Ridge paced in front of the fireplace, his jaw tight. "You let Bill Spencer fund her life behind everyone's back. You think that doesn't make us all look like fools?" Brooke's voice broke with frustration. "I did what I thought was best for her. After everything Liam put her through, she deserved stability. It was money, Ridge, money to help her rebuild her line, to start over." Ridge turned sharply. "Money from Bill? You knew exactly what that meant. You gave him control. And now Sheila used it to destroy Hope's wedding. Tell me, Brooke, how much more damage will your loyalty to that man cause?" Brooke's eyes glistened. "You think I don't hate myself for this? I didn't know he'd use it against us. He told me it was a gift." "Bill Spencer doesn't give gifts," Ridge snapped.
"He invests."
"And now he owns the destruction of your daughter's happiness." Their voices rose, echoing up the stairs. Hope closed her eyes and pressed her hands to her ears, trying to drown them out, but another sound intruded, the faint vibration of her phone, forgotten on the vanity. Against her better judgment, she reached for it. A single unread message glowed on the screen. "Unknown number. You're not the only one he lied to." Hope stared at it, her pulse quickening. Beneath the text was a photo, grainy, dark, clearly taken years earlier. It showed Liam in a hotel hallway, his arm wrapped around Steffi, the two of them whispering, laughing, intimate. The timestamp read, Aspen. The night before the wedding. Hope's breath caught. Sheila had mentioned that night, but seeing it in pixels ripped open the wound anew. Her hands trembled as she read the next line of text. "Unknown number. Ask him about the deal your mother made with Bill. Ask what he gave up to make it happen." She didn't reply. She couldn't. But something in her broke open, the fragile, hopeful part of her that had always believed love could conquer the past. She rose, her movements mechanical, and left the room without a sound. When she stepped outside, the air was cool and sharp. The moon hung low, reflecting off the Forrester pool like shattered glass. She could see her reflection rippling in the water, a bride without a wedding, a believer without faith. Across town, Liam sat in the darkened living room of his house, the remnants of the day strewn around him. The boutonniere, the cufflinks, the empty champagne flute someone had handed him before everything fell apart. He hadn't slept, couldn't even bring himself to change out of his suit. His phone buzzed constantly with messages from reporters, from family, from Steffi. But none from Hope. He deserved that silence. When the knock came, he thought it was a journalist. But when he opened the door, it was Steffi. She looked pale, exhausted, still wearing the same dress she'd worn to the ceremony. "You shouldn't be alone," she said quietly. Liam managed a bitter smile. "You shouldn't be here." Finn understands," she cut in. "He knows I came because I need answers too." She stepped inside, glancing at the disarray. "What Sheila said about Aspen, it wasn't like that, was it? Tell me it wasn't." Liam exhaled slowly. "It wasn't supposed to mean anything. I was confused. I thought Hope and I were done. But Sheila didn't lie. I said things I shouldn't have. I told you that I'd always love you. Steffi looked away, her throat tight. You shouldn't have said it if you didn't mean it. I did mean it, he whispered. That's the problem. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The silence was heavier than anger, heavier than regret. When Steffi finally left, the distance between them felt final. Not the ending of love, but the burial of what once was. Meanwhile, at Spencer Publications, Bill watched the chaos unfold from his office window, the city lights burning like the fires he'd set. The news cycle was relentless, just as he'd expected. He had orchestrated this perfectly, not the drama, perhaps, but the exposure. His empire thrived on control, and the Logan Forrester alliance had always been a threat. Now, with Sheila's interference and Brooke's guilt dragging them into scandal, the balance of power had shifted back to him. Still, there was something uneasy about it. Sheila had gone off script. She had revealed more than he'd intended, and that meant she had leverage. The elevator chimed behind him, and there she was, wearing black this time, as if in mourning for the wedding she'd destroyed. You're welcome, she said. Bill turned, his expression unreadable. You were supposed to stick to the story, not expose Brooke's involvement. Sheila smirked. You didn't tell me how much she was involved. I just thought the bride should know her mother sold her a future she'd known. Bill's voice dropped to a dangerous calm. You're playing with fire. She stepped closer, her smile widening. That's the only game I know how to play. For a long moment, they stood there, two predators circling, both aware that their alliance was temporary. Then Sheila leaned in, her tone soft but laced with venom. You wanted chaos. I gave you a war. Now pay me. Bill didn't flinch. You'll get what's owed. But make no mistake, Sheila, if you ever cross me again, I'll make sure the world remembers who you really are. Her laughter echoed as she walked out, high and sharp, leaving him alone with the consequences of his own machinations. Days passed, but the scandal refused to fade. Hope refused to see Liam, refused to attend any public events, and when she finally emerged, she wasn't the same. The once radiant woman who had preached love and forgiveness was gone. In her place stood someone quieter, sharper, a woman betrayed not just by a man, but by the very idea of trust. She returned to work at Forrester Creations, but her designs had changed. Gone were the soft florals and romantic silhouettes. Her new collection, aptly titled Fracture, was stark, modern, and cold. Each piece seemed like a reflection of her own broken heart, structured beauty built on the ruins of illusion. Brooke tried to apologize, but Hope couldn't bear to hear it. You thought money could protect me, she said, her voice steady but cold. All it did was sell me to the highest bidder. Brooke wept openly. I was trying to save you. Then stop saving me, Hope said, turning away. I don't need protection. I need honesty. As Hope rebuilt her life from the ashes, Sheila watched from the shadows, satisfied for now. But chaos had a way of circling back, and even she could feel that the storm she had unleashed was far from over. Because beneath the headlines, beneath the gossip, there was one secret she hadn't revealed yet, one that would burn brighter than all the others combined. A secret that tied Bill Spencer not just to Brooke Logan, but to someone else entirely. And as she poured herself a drink in her dimly lit apartment, her lips curled into a knowing smile. The truth, she whispered to herself, always finds its way home. Outside, the night deepened, and the city, glittering, ruthless, and hungry, waited for its next scandal to explode.